That's a lot better. Hello and welcome to Horseplayer Happy Hour, an unconventional beginning here to the season finale. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornatow, back with you, as you can probably intuit from my surroundings here. Keeneland Racecourse, where we're about to go live for this sixth race, and I'm thickly alive in the pick five here, so I have a big rooting interest, and we'll be watching this race, and then we'll be starting up the show in our normal manner. But it does look like they're loading, so I think I'm just gonna filibuster. 5, 7, and 9 for me. The 9 is pressed, and all those runners actually stayed in. I'm glad the 9 is pressed because 2 to 5 probably short enough on this favorite here in race 6 at Keeneland. Sorry, this race was supposed to happen, and then we were supposed to come on, but a flurry of late scratches scuttled that plan, and now the 10 runner has decided to scuttle that plan a little bit further here. But hopefully the internet is stable, and we'll get off to a good start here for Horseplayer Happy Hour in just a minute's time. But if this race continues to act up, I think I'm going to introduce the co-host.
I think Pete might have frozen up on us anyway. It's good timing because they're going to break from the gate. And here we go. Well, you know what? Let's let Kurt Becker take it.
Verify is away running in fourth. Catch You Later Mo is fifth. Classic Farewell sixth. AP Lady seventh on the outside.
Is last.
Master
Sum against the rail
is last. Master Sum against the rail has the lead. Master Sum leads at 3/4 of a length. Malibu Toast far outside, 3 wide around the turn, second by a half length, followed by Stellar Lily between horses in third, 22.22 seconds for the opening quarter, and then Rarify, who's in fourth, running 6 lengths from the lead, then a gap of nearly 6 more back to AP Lady down toward the inside. Quarter mile to go, and Malibu Toast has the lead from Master Sum. Here's Rarify. Rarify moves out in the center of the racetrack from third to second, and just gliding right on up to put a head in front. Let's see if Malibu Toast can respond past the 8th pole. Rarify has now opened up 2 lengths, 3 lengths to the good. Rarify going to be much the best here. Joel Rosario checking over his shoulder. Sees about a 4-length margin at the finish. Rarify wins it. Malibu Toast was across the line in the second position. Stellar Lily third.
So you have it. Wesley Ward. Easy as that. And you press this one up, right?
Indeed, indeed. Hello and welcome for real this time. The 2 to 5 shot wins like a 2 to 5 shot here in the 6th race at Keeneland. We'll see how this pick 5 plays out over the course of the next 3 races. Peter Thomas Fornatow back with you from Keeneland. Happy to be joined by a man getting into the spirit of this final table, final episode of the season for Horseplayer Happy Hour. How fast it goes, coming to us from an undisclosed location in New England. You know him from such places as NBC Sports and his own eponymous podcast. He is TV's Matt Bernier. Matt, what's going on?
I was chatting with producer AJ right before we started, saying how fast this thing went by in the blink of an eye. It feels like we just started it, and here we are at the very end. I mean, look, we'll get into all the sort of thank yous and talking about everything, but it's just it's been a really fun summer and in through the fall, and this is the 3rd year we've done this, the 2nd year of this format. Hopefully we do it again next year.
And the early returns are good for that, not least of which attracting a new sponsor, I think, going to end up being a very helpful thing for us. And what a busy time of year. So much going on in terms of the Breeders' Cup. Hit us up out there with your questions. Let's get as many of those Breeders' Cup questions as possible. And I think, Matt, if you're up for it, and I don't know if your schedule will allow, I like the idea, the production meeting in the middle of the show, of maybe trying to do at some point next week one of those question and answer shows like we did for the Kentucky Derby that was very popular. Maybe as, if this is the Super Bowl of Horseplayer Happy Hour, that's kind of like the Pro Bowl, but it's going to be more entertaining than the Pro Bowl because we'll get to field listener questions and, I'm loath to say goodbye just yet. And I love that format and I love our listeners and viewers. And I don't know if you're, we'll talk about the particulars off air, but are you generally open to the concept?
Yeah, I think probably it would have to be Wednesday or Thursday night. I get down there Wednesday at some point. Yeah, I don't see why not Wednesday or Thursday night like we did last year at Del Mar.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's right. We did it there as well. So yeah, and if you have stuff during the show, let's talk about it. We got Trish already in the comments with a question about Midnight Mile and what we think her price will be. We can actually look up on Odds Checker at least to get some data point about that. Now, it's still there's still some confusing prices out there. Like things are going to tighten up and get a lot more serious as we get closer to the off. But that's something at least we can look up now and get some sort of sense of it. So Trish, I'll get back to you with my thoughts on that one when we pull up some odds. Do you have anything off the top of your head on Midnight Mile? I don't know how far you are in all of your preparations, Matt.
Yeah, I'm pretty far down the road here. I got to be honest. I love the way that she waited in that last run at Newmarket. She waited, angled, split, finished strong. I think she's interesting in here. I don't know what kind of price she's going to be. I can take a look and try to pull something up from our friends over at Odds Checker. Okay,
yeah, I just got it. A 10-1 is the best price available, but I'm guessing that's an outlier. I think she's going to be shorter than that. Though interestingly, the Sharper book has her at 10-1. The Sharp book's odds right now meditate 3-1, which is really corrected since I was able to get down earlier in the week at 7-1. So that's come more than in half. Delight, most interesting probably of the USA runners, listed as 4. Pleasant Passage 8, Midnight Mile 10. But that, just my gut, my sort of giggle test on that is that's too big, and I think she's going to catch more money than that. She has the kind of form and figures that stamp her as a contender in this race. I'll pull up the PPs now and see if I have anything particularly clever to say. But that if you could, I mean, at 10-1, I would think that you'd be dealing with a must use. Would you agree with that idea?
Yeah, and I guess that's the interesting thing too. So much of this is in the eye of the beholder. We're all individual handicappers and gamblers. I respect her. I think she's really interesting. I look at that race and say there's not one filly, European or not, that deserves to be shorter than, I don't know, 5, maybe 6. And I know that sounds crazy, but I really believe that. I think it's a field where there is not a standout one horse that lays over the market. So I like the idea of 10. I have to be honest. I don't know that I'd want much shorter than that because I think there are many, many fillies in that field. That even one that drew in today, knock your socks off. I loved her run at Keeneland in the Jessamine. She had no pace. She lunged out at the gate. She came with a big finish. I don't know if she can win, but she's going to be twice that price at least. And I think she has, I don't want to say as likely a chance, but pretty darn close to hit the board. So it's in the eye of the beholder. I'm certainly not going to talk you off, but I wouldn't want much shorter than a number like 10.
I don't think that's crazy. We have some other great questions that I think we'll get to right away. And then we're going to have a bunch of pre-tapes that we're going to throw to because we've got 9 of the 10 final table lists we got interviews with. And we also got an interview with the overall Horseplayer Happy Hour winner, Greg Kingma. So we want to get to all those. But let's start off with some questions just because I'm enjoying this idea. And we'll go next to Kevin, who wants to know, how did Sharp as Attack not draw in the main body of the Juvenile Turf Sprint? That horse has a real shot. I'll tell you what, Rowan Ward of Jeopardy fame, who I did the pod for, the video right now. It'll be part of the Monster Pod. It believes Sharp as Attack could be the best speed in that race, and is with you, Kevin. As for how the horse didn't draw in, it's a committee process, right, Matt? Isn't that how they do it? But I mean, only needs one scratch. There's a lot of time. I wouldn't give up the dream just yet, but can you offer any more insight into how a horse gets in or doesn't get into a race like that?
No, I think you're on the right track. I don't want to say it and butcher it and have, say something that's incorrect, but I believe there was a panel, there was some sort of a committee that decides the priority of who is sort of next in on the list. Obviously the horses that win a win you're in race, they're in the race, period. But beyond that, there is sort of a pecking order. There are points that are rewarded in certain races and kind of goes down from there. So I think the general gist is correct. I just don't want to say something that's incorrect.
My feline friend, who I tweeted about yesterday, is in here behind me. You can sort of see. Just
so is it just a random cat? Is it a barn cat?
I'm guessing it's a barn cat because I was joking about the cat not being friendly. The cat was actually very friendly in the manner of not a feral cat. So I'm guessing it's a barn cat who has realized when he or she comes over here to the front side he or she gets treats, which is exactly what's happening there. The cat working very diligently away on something that's probably tastier than the mouse or rat that's typically available in the bar. It's not that I'm saying that there's any of that going on here at Keeneland, but traditionally there's a reason we have terriers and cats in barns. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it there before I get in any trouble.
Yeah, right.
With our friends, with our friends on this one. We have a question from Jackson about Latruska. I was under the impression that Latruska was not running. Was there a pre-entry for Latruska? Did you see that?
She is listed in the filly and mare sprint. So
okay,
and she's in the body. So I don't.
Sounds like they're gonna. I mean, I don't think you'd go that far on a lark. I think it's strange. I don't like it when you hear one thing and then you see another. So that doesn't sound great to me. As talented as she is, I mean, you watch her tape, she looks like a horse who's crying out for a break. And then you hear she's not going to run, and then she's going to. I mean, to me, that's bad vibes in a very, very, very deep race. But I think actually, it's really, really interesting. It's Echo Zulu in there, and of course last year's winner CC and Goodnight Olive to a ton of steam. Goodnight Olive, a horse I think a lot of wise guy types were thinking, oh, this could be the interesting price horse. Bookies aren't giving anything away on her from last I've seen, more in the 4-1, 7-2 range with her progressive form in the hands that she's in. But anyway, we'll have to see. We'll have to see about Latruska. But yeah, I mean, the cutback is okay, I guess. But again, the overall vibes are bad enough that I don't know. Am I underrating this warrior?
No. I mean, I think you're calling it as you see it right now. She doesn't seem quite what she was last year. And I don't want to say this feels a little bit like a Hail Mary, like we're just trying to find out if she's got one last big shot in her. But I mean, for a mare that is more or less a need the lead type, I'm not arguing that she may have the early foot to run with some of the speed in that race. But boy, doing something different for really, I mean, she's only gone one turn twice in her career in the United States. I mean, I don't know. It does nothing for me, but I guess if you want to look at it and say, I mean, by definition, she kind of is the class of the field, even including a horse like Cece. So I don't know. She doesn't do anything for me, but I guess I can understand someone it's looking at it saying, speed, turning back, class, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I'm not going to be in a hurry to book your bet, but it's not one that I'll be making.
I will be using her. Put it that way.
Yeah. How close are we getting, I wonder, to this next race at our third track, who's going to keep us here late tonight? Everybody's going to be. It might be dark by the end of this. By the end of this show, that's not the best view. It's like a parking lot, but I like the fact that I can just set the computer down at head level, and it's like a little warmer over here for some reason. It's one of these funny, classic fall day where in the sun it's absolutely gorgeous, and then you get in the shade and the breeze kicks up and it's winter. So we're getting 3 seasons in a day here at Keeneland today. But
what is the high? What's the high? And by the way, we missed the 5th race at Horseshoe Indy. No big deal.
Oh, we missed
other than a 27-1 shot won the race.
Oh, so well, big deal for the contest then.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at the leaderboard when that updates. Let me pull up a monitor here so I can at least have some idea what's going on. And Matt, just run me over and you've been doing much better job than I have all season long about making sure we get live races in. So let's keep that going.
We have 6 minutes until Aqueduct.
Okay,
great.
And
then we have about 15 minutes until your race down there.
So you know what I think we should do? Let's do a video real quick, and it's risky. I don't know if you know the times, AJ, but if there's one that's 5 instead of 6, let's roll it. I'll give you a minute. I'm in the private chat too, AJ. If you tell me if you're able to queue up a 5-minute video to pop in there right now. Meanwhile, I'm going to pull up a monitor so I have some idea what's going on. For reasons I can't explain and I'm irritated by, I have been logged out of a lot of my stuff and can't have as much control over what I'm seeing here on the show. We did have another nice comment I'll get to in the meantime, though. We have a listener chiming in from Ireland, saying season's greetings to you, my friend. Appreciate having you in. Lots of people joining us via YouTube. Tons of content right now up on the In the Money YouTube channel. And AJ's got this clip. Let's meet our first final tableist.
Next up on the show, we've got another one of our final table participants. We bring him in now. Scott McGovern. Scott, how are things?
Oh, they're wonderful down here in South Florida, doing great.
Nice weather down there. Things are looking good.
Looking really nice today, yes.
I love it. What is this background where you are? I've never seen just a straight white background. It looks like we should be like, putting a spaceship behind you or something.
I'm actually in a conference room at where I work at down here near the Miami airport. So I'm actually in a conference room.
Well, it's good. It works. It definitely works and would lend itself to some good photoshopping. We'll do the basic stats first. How old are you? What do you do for a living? And you've already let us know where you live, but maybe you tell us where you're from.
Yeah, I'm 59 years old, originally from Chicago. So I've moved across the country really through the last 30 years, 29 in beautiful Scottsdale. Then I did a stint in Dallas for 8 years and been down here in Miami since really March of 2022. So, and work for an airline, retired American Airlines, and working down here for a cargo airline right now.
Very nice. Very nice. How about your experience as a horse racing fan? When did you get into racing?
Oh, probably when I was in high school, my dad used to spend his weekends at the track. He was a physician by trade, but loved to go to the track. And probably my most notable experience while I was going to school in Southern Illinois, he was out in California, went out probably for one of my weekends to visit him. We went to Hollywood Park, which no longer exists, as you're well aware of, and just had a great weekend experience. Hit a nice perfecta. They had perfecta. That was the wager back then, and hit a nice perfecta back then, and really ever since been kind of hooked.
Oh, that's great fun. And contests are an important part of your play. Have you played in the BCBC before?
Yes, I have. Well, I haven't played at the BCBC, the big tournament. Qualified or did well in the feeders, but never qualified. So I'm looking to make this my first venture this Thursday.
Love it. How about live bankroll play in general? Do you participate in those contests, or are you more of a $2 mythical win place player?
No, I've done some live bankrolls. When I was in Dallas, I competed in the Lone Star, those live tournaments, and did pretty well in a few of them over the last couple of years. But really enjoy the live. I really like to get into more of the live bankroll tournaments.
That's great. We're really looking forward to seeing how you do. Perhaps you'll punch your ticket today. How about Horseplayer Happy Hour? How did you hear about it? How long have you been playing in it?
So I did Horseplayer Happy Hour last year. And I play pretty much almost every week. I think I may have missed a week or two, but certainly enjoy you guys your show every Thursday, and then I listen to your In the Money podcast probably 2-3 days a week as I commute into work every day.
Be careful, Scott. Flattery will get you everywhere. We love that. We love to hear from the fans who've gotten involved and are taking advantage of, what I really think is one of the best contest opportunities out there. It is we have so much fun week in, week out. And of course, it's all for a great cause as well. What was your biggest week? How did you make the playoffs? Did you grind consistently and make it through the tour? Did you have one big week? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I had actually had one big week. I don't remember the week, but took second, maybe in a July time frame, and then ended up taking sixth and maybe eighth in a couple. So I kind of finished, I think, at the regular season overall sixth, which actually was very good. I thought I actually did pretty good considering the skill of these high players here. So, but certainly enjoyed every week. It's a lot of fun. To your point, good cause, and it's just a lot of fun every Thursday to kind of get you ready for the weekend.
How about your approach to handicapping in general? Do you identify as one particular type of player? What kind of data do you use? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of probably maybe kind of old school. I still use I'll use the Brisnet form, do it electronically with the iPad and do a lot of color coding with that. But
that's not that old school. I thought you were going to say, daily racing form and a pen. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but no, if you're color coding and using an iPad, you're very 21st century.
I'm color coding. I like to do some trip handicapping, and my handicapping will actually change. I mean, I think as I have some good weeks or bad weeks, I'll move it around a bit, do a little bit, maybe more win, and obviously scale back during down weeks. But hey, I like to, when there's a jackpot for a pick 5 or a pick 6 pool, I'm certainly put a lot of energy into it and have a lot of fun with it.
That's excellent. So are you mostly a weekend warrior, or are you looking every day?
No, pretty much Thursday through the weekend. Yeah, take
awesome.
Sunday off, but pretty much through the weekend. Some simple contest play and some live bankroll play.
Scott, great to get to meet you. We'll be following your progress throughout here and look forward to seeing you on the leaderboard, not just on Thursday, but hopefully next year for Horseplayer Happy Hour as well.
Thank you very much, Peter. Looking forward to it.
These chats were so fun, just one after the other, getting to talk to people in our community who, really love the game and have the right attitude about things. We got to be getting pretty close, I would think.
They are loaded into the gate.
Yeah, there we go. Let's do it. Nick and I did a show about this double carryover that seems like it's going to certainly be hit here today. I like the 1 and the 5 in this spot. Did you have a quick thought on this race?
Yeah, I went with be a star, the 5 in here. I just a combination of a horse that likes Aqueduct, and also I think getting back to the starter allowance level is going to possibly benefit this one. But I'll understand anyone that looks at a horse that says 34 lifetime starts, 3 wins and 12 second or third place finishes. Not my cup of tea. I think she's at least got a chance, though.
Yeah, I agree. Dirtied up form. I mean, there's just one excuse after the other, and we are probably impossibly far back here, unless they are really going a great gallop. The one know-it-all Audrey in a much better spot at this point than that one, securing that inside position. We'll see. Maybe we can get a little bit of a turn up here. But for folks who mirrored the tickets that Nick and I played, I think 1 and 5. The 5's starting to run here a little bit. What do you think? Do you think Mia Be a Star can get involved from this far out?
Yeah, I think she should get involved. I don't think she can win. I could see her hitting the board here. Again, she's picking her feet up real nice down on the inside. Just follow this 2 as long as you can and split that hole right there between the deuce and the 4 and see if the momentum carries you. The 1's moving very well. I'd be surprised.
It's going to be hard.
I'd be surprised if she ran that one down, but I can see her running second.
Feels like a 1-5, which, if you were playing exactas, these are the only 2 horses Nick and I talked about. Let's see if we can get this horse to really somehow finish in the 1 to stop. And that would get real interesting. But no, it looks like it's going to come the logical 1-5 here at Belmont at the Big A. And just because we have so much to do today, I know we just had this race hit the wire, but I think if we keep waiting to show leaderboards, we might never get leaderboards in. So maybe we should go straight away to leaderboards here, AJ, if you want to do that, and you pick whichever one you want. We've got the qualifier happening, very successful again. Looked like we had 80 folks join in for that, so we appreciate everybody for participating. And then, of course, the final table of 10. We just met Scott Montgomery. We'll meet other players along the way, and this looks like the final table with Nathan Kaczynski, who is in the lead, and Chris Couples right behind. We have interviews with both of them. Bob Montgomery significantly on the board as well. But all to play for, even the players with 0, definitely a chance to vault themselves into contention with so many races left. How much time do we have to Keeneland, Matt?
About 8 minutes.
Let's do the Nathan Kaczynski interview then. He's in the lead. Let's hear from the guy. AJ, I'll yap for half a second to give you a chance to get it queued up, and you tell me in the private chat when it's ready, and we'll throw there. But yeah, that was a very logical result there at Belmont at the Big A. What price was Mia Be a Star in the end?
5, I believe.
5
so
to
not
1.
Terrible for place money.
No, that could still prove significant. And we'll see what happens here as AJ's getting our Nathan Kaczynski interview teed up, and you hear the there must be heading out onto the track here at Keeneland. I like this view better. Where we can see some of the limestone instead of the loading dock. But I have to say, it's like that little bit of sunshine helped a lot. All right, we're ready now with Nathan Kaczynski.
Next up, another of our final table participants, a man whose name I've had the pleasure to say, looking at a lot of leaderboards during Horseplayer Happy Hour shows this year. Nathan Kaczynski. Nathan, what's going on, my man?
I'm good, Pete. How are you?
Life is excellent. Getting so excited for the Breeders' Cup, getting excited to see which of you will be joining the array of players at the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. One thing that I didn't realize until today is that you count among your close friends a former BCBC champion.
I do, yeah. Brad Anderson. So yeah, we got a nice little group going. So yeah, he's a great guy and a mentor to look up to and stuff. And being a past champion and stuff, he's always coaching with, and telling you how to get these BCBC seats. So it's quite a nice little thing to have in your back pocket when you're trying to qualify.
Where did you meet?
Actually, we have a we use a lot of us use Equine Edge, and we've created a group on the side. So we're all just in a group on Facebook and stuff, and we all just chat that way, and have our own dialogue and stuff. We've actually never met in person. Most of us have never met in this group. So hopefully we'll meet up here in the next couple weeks down in Keeneland. So
I love it. Was he your inspiration to get involved in Horseplayer Happy Hour? Brad's been a big supporter of everything we've got going, and I know he's a big supporter of the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation as well.
Yeah. So actually, I found out about it. I don't even. It wasn't Brad. I think it was Matt Bernier who turned me onto it. And I thought it was just a great thing to do. Obviously, we all know how much the thoroughbreds mean to us, but they all need a life after the race course, and we don't do enough for them on the backstretch, so to speak. So it's a great cause, and it's a fun thing to do. Every Thursday for the summer. I look forward to it. I was actually emailing or messaging Matt before the season started saying, "Hey, are we bringing it back?" And he's like, "I don't know if we're gonna do it or not. Like it's in the works, but we can't do anything." And then it kicked off, and I think I missed the first couple of weeks because I just didn't realize it kicked off so soon. But then I was right in the chase.
How did you end up punching your ticket to the playoffs? Was it through the Exacta or Tour Long?
It was actually I had double entries going into the playoff scenario, so I had both. I hit the Exacta one week. I think I came second, and then I had a couple other finishes that got me up there. So, but yeah, it was nice to get into the tournament. I actually, at the end of last year when it all wrapped up, I said I'm going to make it a goal this year to try to get to the end and make it to the final table. And we're sitting here now, a couple days out, so it's quite a nice little feeling to have going into this week. So
goal achieved. Now we'll see if you can, get that secondary goal of winning the damn thing. We'll see how it all turns out throughout the course of this afternoon. But it's great to have you participating. Have you played in the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge before?
So I have not. So I played in one little small challenge. I played last year in the last chance qualifier to try to get into the BCVC. Didn't work out, but this would be, the first time to go to a Breeders' Cup. Would be my first one to actually go to and experience, even as just a race fan, but even to, play in a BCBC, it would be my first one to go and play in. So, it's something special. It's something I want to do, and it would be something to be cool to have that come true on Thursday, so.
Have you done any work on the Breeders' Cup so far? Have you been looking ahead to any of the plays you might make should you qualify, or is it one thing at a time for you?
Well, so we've been kind of talking about that in our group about how the weather is kind of all over the map right now. So, it looks like it could be a very rainy Saturday, which could make for some intriguing stuff depending on what goes on and stuff. So I've, done some research and stuff on a couple of horses. Haven't made any plays yet. I kind of like to wait till, fields come out and have an idea. But, it'll all, come together. You just got to kind of set up what you're going to do a couple days beforehand and then just rock and roll with it. So, and then you can change in a fly on the just of what your bets are going to be going into it. So
are you heading in? Are you with Flightline or against him, or are you going to wait and see what the situation dictates?
He's a monster. I will say that Flightline's a monster, but 3 to 5 is a very short price, or 4 to 5, whatever he might be in there. And you just never know, he could be the real deal, but we'll see. If it comes rain and slop, who knows? That throws a whole new, bag of tricks into the race for Flightline to see if he's actually going to be able to handle it or not. So, he looked like the real deal in the Pacific Classic. I know everyone said he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to get the distance. He got that distance. No questions, put an exclamation point on all those people. So, he's been training well out at Santa Anita in the videos I've seen, come across and watch, the workouts I see. So, I mean, it looks like all systems are a go. It's just we'll see what happens.
Before I let you go, you got to give us the basic statistics, your age, where you live, and what you do for a living.
Yeah, so I'm 31. One of probably the younger guys, probably in horse racing. I trying to keep it alive for us, because it's a dying breed. A lot of people are like, "You're going to play races?" Yeah, I'm going to play the races. And then I live in Chicago, actually, right outside of Chicago, about 45 minutes northwest in the suburbs. And then I'm a restaurant manager, general manager of a restaurant. So. Yeah. So, and then I know, the one reason I kind of got into playing tournaments is because I didn't feel quite confident in picking winners on top. I would never do win bets. And so I got into it to try to enhance my game and, pick more winners going that way, because it forces you to do it. And, it's helped and made it more successful for me. So,
That's great. That's a point JK has made time and time again. Contests help you develop that muscle memory of what a 6-1 looks like, what an 8-1 winner looks like. And when you can apply that in contests and then take it into your cash play, it can be a really a beautiful thing and a great learning tool. And that's another one of the things we're trying to accomplish here on these shows. Love having you, Nathan. We'll be watching you on the leaderboard, and we'll check in again with you soon. Hopefully we can meet out there at the Breeders' Cup.
Sounds good, Pete. I look forward to it. We'll see you.
Straight out to Keeneland here, where picks-wise, the 2 is my best with the 1, 4, and 7 as backups. Matt Bernier, you have any thoughts on this race, Keeneland?
I'm glad to hear that you have the 7 involved. I don't know if this horse is good enough, but off the claim, I thought Civic's class was a little interesting. Maybe show a little bit of gas early on. I don't know if we'll be able to clear off, but if you're pressing the pace at this level, I think you could do worse at 11-1.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing where it's more of a backup, but clearly can unlock some possibilities at that 11-1. So we'll see how it goes. Here, we'll get this race going at Keeneland. We haven't yet looked at the overall leaderboard for the qualifier. That'll be the thing that we do after this race at Keeneland, even before it goes official. And then I can't decide if we should just not worry about Indy until the end, or if we should try to get that race in. How many minutes to post are we there, Matt?
Well, so our Indy races are 7 and 8, so we should be we're basically Keeneland Indy from here on.
Okay, but we're done with Belmont at the Big A.
Aqueduct is done.
Okay.
I apologize to the folks that like to call it Belmont at Aqueduct. I've just called it Aqueduct.
Well, now it's going to get really confusing when Belmont at Aqueduct. I think after this weekend is just Aqueduct.
Well,
so we're going to start. I'll make that mistake 86 times, the way that I made the mistake going forward. I'd like the 2 here, but 1 and 4 also very good, and the 7 quite acceptable as well. All the more so for the fact that you like this horse. So we'll see what happens. So danger of the 2 things: danger of recording things a couple days in advance, and also the danger of how a 10-day out forecast is incredibly unreliable. So Nathan was talking, those original forecasts that came out did have those showers, but as we get closer, and it's still not, you're not going to want to go to the bank on what the weather is a week out, but it's come correct and looks actually unseasonably warm, the latest forecast. So we'll see what happens. But those comments that Nathan was making, sort of assuming we were going to have off conditions, it ain't necessarily so, as the song says. And obviously, especially in these turf races, I mean, I think it could be just a massive difference. A horse like Silver Knot, who looks so strong on firm turf, if it was like proper soft turf, wouldn't look fine at all. So, but anyway, we're going to talk about all these races now. We're going to reserve the right, obviously, to change our minds as we get closer to it. And we've got, I don't know, is this 10 just running off here, Matt? I mean, I feel like the 2's traveling in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is, this is first time blinkers for this horse on the front end at this level. 23-1. I'm going to assume the half is close to 47. I mean, this is a 46-3. I mean, I can't imagine this 10 seeing out this trip at this pace.
For me, I'm hoping that what I'm not seeing is the classic move into a hot pace move from the 2. We need the rider to hang on here for just a little bit longer and go to the front efficiently and at the right time and still have
in an
something
absolute
left.
Box.
Yeah, the 7 just got the 10 backed up into the 7. Do you have anything for? Oh boy, you just did behind a wall now.
Yeah,
let's see. Yeah, that I can't imagine the 7 re-rallying from there. You have anything with 3rd for the 7?
No, I actually played in our contest today.
Oh, you're in the qualifier.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was a bad opinion. Let's see what happens here. I mean, the 2 should be all right, but you just need the wheels not to fall off. Yeah, they're doing the business. Ward again. Yeah, 3 wins on the card for Ward and Rosario, heating up at the right time. I noticed, now I haven't listened yet. You want more Breeders' Cup content? We're all over the YouTube channel. We're all over the In the Money Media feed. But one thing in particular that I had a little bit of host envy for was it looked like Nick Luck has an interview on Nick Luck Daily today doing a little barn tour with Wesley Ward, who has a rather loaded contingent headed to the Breeders' Cup. Have you had a chance to listen to that one yet?
I've not known, but I mean, those are the things for me this time of year. It's getting as much information about the Europeans as possible, knowing that those aren't the ones that I pay attention to on a day-to-day basis. So any kind of, anything I can glean from Nick or his guests, or even in an instance like this, if you can get a nugget from Wesley Ward about, how so-and-so may be doing in a certain race, I don't think you can ever go wrong. And we know Nick is, I'm not afraid to say it, I think Nick is as good a broadcaster as there is in the world, not just in horse racing.
He could do anything. I mean, I feel like we're lucky to have him, and I don't tell him I said that. We don't need to shine him on too much. But no, he's fabulous, and we're gonna have him. I meant to do the first look at the Europeans with him that I've done the last couple of seasons, but we had some dodgy hotel Wi-Fi to give a little bit of a callback to.
What else is new?
Yeah, so we weren't able to make that happen, but. Vanessa Ryle, who's going to be here at the Breeders' Cup, did a fantastic job right here with me at Keeneland yesterday. That's up on the YouTube channel. And then we've got an array of interesting guests talking Euros on the individual races vis-a-vis the Monster Pod. Callum Hellewell, who's been on Horseplayer Happy Hour with us before, did a nice job. And then we've got some excellent American perspectives too. So yeah, I agree. One of the best things you can do from this far out is get a little bit of a lowdown on the Euros and what they're bringing. And we're going to have tons more content as we go forward. We're very lucky. We're going to have here at Keeneland next week, both Vanessa and also Michael Adolphson, they've seen these horses in the flesh, which I love because it gives you an opportunity then to bring in that perspective with how they're looking in the morning versus how they usually look. Now, with that, I'll offer the caveat that in 2015, when Found and I did the tour together of ARC Champions Day Breeders' Cup, I got to look at her in the paddock over here behind me, and she'd lost 200 pounds and her coat was gone. And I said, well, that's one horse we can beat. And we saw what she did, leading to one of my largest bets in my life on Golden Horn that didn't go so well. But that's life in the big city, folks. Let's do, AJ, the look at this qualifier. Had you been on the board to this point, man, in the qualifier, or were you needing to get rocking and rolling to get that second entry?
Yeah, no, I just had a couple of places. I had like $10. The leader was at 60 something. So clearly that's part of the reason that I let out that probably unpleasant noise for anybody listening when the seven got stopped.
It was bad.
But again, I said it last week with that filly that I had on the grass that I thought she was going to run. I can't fault the rider for that. He was saving ground. He just ran into a spot where the horse in front of him stopped.
Yeah,
it's just kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't thing.
Very tricky. And we've got Bob Gianquiti in front right now, 67.50. Matthew Baca. The Italians are running very well in today's contest. Randy Scher, Greg Kingma, who we're going to hear from in a minute. Eric Brothers with 2 entries in 5th and 6th. And it looks to me like Eric has some different numbers. So Eric's actually in a really interesting spot. The top one here gets a BCBC seat. And then we've got breakage going down the line. Chris Couples, another name. Good to see on leaderboard. We're going to be hearing from him a little bit later in the show. The owner, Rick Heber, in there as well, who's been a guest on Owner's Box in the past. All right, I just saw Greg Kingma's name. So I think we should go to him. This is the man who won the entire tour this year. With a very impressive showing. He was doing well all along, and then he had one week in particular that pushed him over the top. We'll let him tell you about it. AJ,
next guest up on the show, not one of the people competing for a Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge seat on Horseplayer Happy Hour today, because he's already won one. He's our tour champion for 2022. He's horse player and owner, Greg Kingma. Greg, how are things?
Fantastic. It's great to be here today. Yes, I didn't qualify for the final. I had 2 entries. I took 2 swings, and you know how that goes, right? Given day.
It's not easy. It sounds easier than it is, being in the top half and winnowing all the way down. But hey, in a way, we might have to break out the world's smallest violin for you here, because you already achieved something amazing, being the overall champion for the year. Was this your first season playing on Horseplayer Happy Hour, or are you a veteran?
So I have played previously, not very seriously. So yeah, I mean, it kind of caught me by surprise when I found out, how well I was doing. I really didn't check the leaderboard till around August. And then obviously just like every horse player knows, you can have your day, right? And I think it was early September. I was in second place behind, I believe, Michael Cavana. I haven't met him. Have you met him?
He's going to be in one of these interviews. I haven't recorded it yet, but we'll see him very shortly on the show.
Beautiful. So I don't know him, but I'd love to meet him. He's leading the NHC. He's obviously really, really good, and I was very fortunate. The week that I took the lead was actually at Kentucky Downs. And obviously that's such a short meet. A lot of the things I normally look at kind of apply, but I mean, it's a different meet. I don't really wager on it very much because it's just so different and I don't have the time to spend, a whole bunch of time on it. But I got lucky that week and actually finished first and second. And that gave me a pretty sizable lead where I was probably with 3 weeks to go, probably as good of a chance to win it as we have with Flightline.
That's great. Let's talk about your approach as a horse player generally. What do you like to look at? What is your methodology?
Well, it depends. Obviously, if we're playing in a tournament online or, at a track with real money, I think they're totally different sports. Totally different angles to look at. Online, like a lot of players that play online, I'm looking for something different. I'm handicapping for improvement. There's a lot of things I look at for possible improvement, but I do use some other sources. Trip notes is something I look at a lot. That guy, Benny Southstreet, he's amazing.
Trip No Pros is the website, and Benny's been on our airwaves a lot, and he and his team do a fantastic job watching races. You don't have to.
Yep. And obviously he's not looking at every track, right? So Kentucky Downs, that didn't help me that day, but just in general, that's a great source. And then I actually use Race Lens.
Sure.
So that's good. I probably could spend a lot more time understanding it better, but I look at that. And then with trips, I mean, I'm looking at trips a lot. And every once in a while you get that gem, right? Where you find that horse and it's not obvious. And the next time back he's 20-1. And that's huge to have something like that.
Give us your basic stats, your age, where you live, and what you do for a living.
So interesting. I'm fortunate, probably near retirement. I'm not in retirement yet. I actually do mortgage lending. So I manage some people doing mortgage lending, which has been great for a while. Obviously now it's a little bit slower, but it's been nice. And I split my time between Las Vegas, Seattle, and LA.
Fantastic.
I travel around and I've been married 39 years. I have 5 kids. 2 daughters got married, one in August, one in September this year. So, very busy summer, very exciting summer, very expensive summer. But yeah, I feel very blessed.
Last question for you before I get out of here with you is about horse ownership. When we met at Saratoga a few years ago, I know you were involved on the ownership side. Has that interest in the game continued?
Oh, yes, it has. I'm still waiting for that gem, right? I own horses that have raced, in Saratoga, Del Mar, all over California. It's nice to give it a shot. I think the best horse I've had won an allowance race at Saratoga. But yeah, it's been great.
Well, Greg, we're going to see you at the Breeders' Cup. Maybe we'll check in with you again before then. This year's Horseplayer Happy Hour Tour regular season champion, Greg King. But Greg, thanks for your time today.
All right. Talk to you soon, Pete.
We talked about Michael Cavana in that last spot. I think we have just enough time to sneak in his interview. Let's go to Michael Cavana right now.
Next up, we've got a man we talked about earlier on the show because his name has been seen on all types of leaderboards. I've had the pleasure of meeting him at a couple of different contests. He's at the final table today trying to win his way to the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. Welcome to the show, Mike Cavana. What's going on, my friend?
Thanks, Pete. It's going well. Everything's good. Excited to be part of the final table.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, how long have you, as a contest veteran, been involved with Horseplayer Happy Hour? Have you been here with us since the beginning?
I have, yeah. I when I saw the aftercare component of it, it's such a good cause that it seemed like a logical contest to play in. So I've been playing Max, pretty much since the start.
That's awesome. We appreciate the support very much and are interested to see how you make out here. This will run during the show on Thursday. Let's talk about your contest experience a little bit. As somebody who's played in a lot of events, what would you describe to this point as your highlight as a contest player?
That's a good question. One of the most exciting things was making the first NHC, right? I started contests about 5 years ago, something like that. So getting to the NHC was the first excitement. I guess otherwise, being on top of the NHC Tour leaderboard for now, although I'm sure that won't last, is probably a highlight too.
Well, it's been fun. I was going to ask you about that. The old saying goes with the NHC Tour, you don't choose it, it chooses you. Was that the case for you? Did you make a conscious effort, or did you have a couple of big results? And do you have a plan for trying to stay atop that leaderboard?
Yeah, it was, because it kind of chose me. I was trying to qualify, and I got close a bunch of times and didn't quite get there. So that gave me pretty good points. And then when I won 1 week first place and close to that the next week, that put me right up there. So it shows me the point where I need to keep playing. I mean, strategy wise, I'll keep playing the Friday tournaments, right? Because of my work schedule, it's hard to travel much to on-site, so it's hard to do the ones that get me more points.
Right.
But the Friday tourneys are the place to be. So.
Well, horseplayers.com has a lot of great stuff going on, including the direct qualifier we've got going on right now for the BCBC, and of course our Horseplayer Happy Hour games, lots of other stuff. We encourage folks to check that out, as well as the sister site, horsetourneys.com. But let's talk to you about Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge specifically. Have you played in this event before?
I played in it once before, and I actually just got an entry a couple of weeks ago. So,
oh, fantastic. So
I will be there. This is to try to get a second entry, but I've only played once before.
And what was your strategy? How did it work out for you?
I think I'm one of those people you talk about who is playing it more for the fun of playing it. I'm not used to playing in big cash money tournaments, and so it's a way to play the Breeders' Cup. I mean, I will go pretty far in or all in at the end of one of those tournaments, but I enjoy playing for the day. So I realize it's not optimal ROI, but it is a great opportunity. So.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of different ways it can work out, and I would assume it's an interesting opportunity for you to secure some valuable tour points as well.
Yeah, definitely. Although I think if I'm top four, which is where I think I would need to be playing remote, I think the tour points are probably the least of my excitement at that point.
Yeah, it'd be a serious amount of money to get up that high on the leaderboard. Give us your basic stats. How old are you? Where do you live? What do you do for a living?
So I'm 51. I live in Walpole, Massachusetts. I've kind of ping-ponged back and forth between the sort of New York area and Massachusetts for my career. And I'm a biochemist, so I work in the pharmaceutical industry, managing a group of people that do basic research.
A lot of data involved, I would think. Is there some analog? Do you use your brain in some sort of similar way with playing horses and what you do professionally?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm an analytical scientist by nature, right? So the puzzle of solving a horse race using data to get there, that's what I do in my everyday work as well.
That's very cool. What is your preferred source of data when it comes to horse racing?
It's a good question. I mean, I feel like I'm old school, so the paper DRF is where I start. I like to have that, although it's a little harder doing so much from home. But I've started using HTR, so
sure.
Ken's software, and I like using optics as well for a sense of the pace of a particular race. So those are some tools I use that I've integrated into kind of the old school, looking at the form and sort of using intuition that way.
You mentioned about being involved in contests for 5 years. Does your horse racing fandom go back a lot farther, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so family, as with a lot of horse players, right? So my dad was a big fan. He took me to Yonkers Raceway when I was 8, and I actually hit 3 trifectas that
Michael looks to have frozen on us. We'll see if we can get him back, but I'll say this, just riffing, that those are two of the elements we hear in so many of the creation stories. The older relative to introduce you, and then that idea of the big early hit. They get their hooks in, and Michael, clearly somebody who's had those hooks in for a long time. We're glad to have him in the contest space. We appreciate his time on the show today, and we'll have him back on for another visit soon.
That was fun, and the doubling up of getting to talk to the current NHC Tour champ as well, man.
Pete, you want a trivia? And I could be wrong. Somebody can correct me. I'm sure Michael will really love that. This is my trivia about where he's from. Walpole, so Massachusetts, my old stomping grounds. The only maximum security prison in Massachusetts is in Walpole. Fun fact.
I'm sure that's just a coincidence.
Fun fact. It is, I'm sure, nothing more than a coincidence. Please do not take that in the wrong way. Just, it's a fun fact. I played golf down there, and I said, "Whoa, what's over there?" And they go, "That's where the prison is." So,
That's
okay.
very funny. We've had a lot of people rolling by saying hi. Haley Amos walked by. Matt Hegarty from DRF, who are one of the sponsors of this show. I know, like me, Matt, your work for the Breeders' Cup and their advanced package are sort of tied on, and you can get the PPs now as well over there at drf.com. We encourage folks to do that. I think we can probably go to Keeneland Pictures pretty soon, AJ. Or are they far enough away from the gate, Matt, that we could do a quick leaderboard, or do you think we should?
I mean, we've got 13 minutes. They're still in the saddling area.
Oh, at Keeneland?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. That's fantastic. Let's do a leaderboard then, and then we'll do another video before we get going to, or two. We still have a bunch of final table people. Sorry, I lost track of time there. I just anyway, these things happen. So back to the main contest. We've got Bob Gianquitti and Matthew Backett. They're still in those spots. Greg Kingma advancing slowly, trying to get that next seat. Randy Scher, Eric Brothers, Derek Myers. Eric Brothers again, he had those two good ones. Chris Couples. We'll go to Chris Couples next for our interviews since we see him there. Wendy Long, Tim Haas. That rounds out the top 10. And any movement on our other leaderboard? Why don't we take a quick look over there? I still, and this can give us an idea of the next couple players to go to. Oh, Nathan's been passed by Chris Couples. So we got Chris Couples everywhere. Makes sense. He's doing well in both. What a day that would be if you go runner and win the seat at the final table and also win the direct qualifier. I really enjoyed my chat with Chris Couples. Let's hear from him now.
Next up, another one of our final table guests. Man, I've had the pleasure of hanging out with in Las Vegas, where he's qualified for the NHC in the past. Now looking to qualify for the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge at our final table. Chris Couples, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, same old, just getting through the dailies, trying to get ready for Breeders' Cup and carry on with normal activities too. It's a big job, as you know.
Oh, no doubt about it. Have you played in the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge before?
I played the last 3, maybe 4 years.
How's it been for you so far? Any success stories to report?
I've been in like top 25 a couple times and come out on a positive end, and a couple times I was zero. The first year I actually played on, I had a big opportunity there and squandered it away. Learned a valuable lesson.
Expensive lesson, but a valuable one nonetheless. Yes. Maybe one you'll put to good use this year. Are you definitely playing in the BCBC? Do you have a seat already?
I do not have a seat already, and normally I would buy in at least one entry, but this year's an off year for me. Me and you spoke a little bit. My daughter's she's a St. Jude patient and been going through a bone marrow transplant. So I'm really not nowhere near to my normal handicapping level this year.
Well, that's going to be distracting for anybody. Any news to report on that front? I know I've been sending you positive vibes. I'm not sure how much that helps, but that's a lot.
Hey, that's all we can do, and she's doing really well. She went through the transplant. She's going through the recovery process and doing really well. It's been a miracle.
That's fantastic news. Very, very happy to hear that. So does racing play a role in your life still as a bit of a distraction when you get the opportunity? How would you describe your relationship to betting on horses at this point?
Normally it's every weekend with the occasional break. Now, like I said, the past 8, since we got back from NHC, matter of fact, when we knew this process was coming up, I've been off and on, maybe a couple weekends a month, sometimes less. I haven't tried to qualify for the NHC for this upcoming year because of things we got going on, but it's still there. I'm trying to stay on top of things best I can.
You've been active in the Horseplayer Happy Hour games. It must fit your lifestyle in some way.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity and a great thing for the industry. So I try to support it. Even the weeks I didn't have time to handicap, I tried to at least put 1 or 2 entries in just to keep contributing in some way.
Well, we appreciate it very, very much, especially with all you've got going on. How did you make it here to the playoffs and the final table? Any interesting stories along the way?
Not really. And throughout the season, a lot of times, like I said, I didn't get a chance to do the proper work. And since we got to the playoffs, I took the time and did the work and just tried to get some horses that hit the board since we were doing the 50% cut line deal. Now this week, of course, you kind of got to get a little different strategy, but there's only 10 of us, so somebody's going to walk away happy.
How about your approach to handicapping? I remember from some of the conversations we've had that I think you do things a little bit differently than some people. I
do. Even in the $2 mythicals, I try to stick to horses that I think will win. I don't necessarily look at prices. Just like at NHC, I nickeled and dimed my way to Sunday, and got lucky to get there on Sunday. And I take the same approach in the online mythical contest.
And what about your handicapping arsenal? What are the tools that you use? What approach do you favor?
I'm a formulator user. I'm a big replay watcher, so it's very time consuming. I'm selective with which cards I do handicap because of the time involved, and I'm very selective with my wagering. I might put 12 hours work in and might not bet a single dollar.
That's an extraordinary amount of discipline. How do you manage that?
It took a while, and it was an expensive education, as any education is. But, and to tell you the truth, the $2 mythical contest lets you do that a little more efficient because you can have some action at a smaller amount instead of betting real money and real live betting on every race.
2 more questions for you. The first one's about those pictures on the wall behind you, some famous horses up there. Why did they make the wall of honor?
Mainly I've become a Fred Stone fan. I would have to count 15, 20 prints of Fred Stone all throughout our home. My wife, she gets a little aggravated because we run out of wall room, so she can't hang anything. I'm like, every wall's got a racehorse on it. But I discovered Fred Stone one day, and then I just got to collecting prints. Zenyatta, one of my all-time favorites. And if anybody out there not familiar with Fred Stone's work, he passed away maybe a couple years ago. I would encourage you to Google and look. It is outstanding artwork.
I've got one on the wall right here. You can't see it. It's out of frame. Silver Charm that was signed by Fred and by Gary Stevens. I
have the Silver Charm.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. Well, you're clearly a passionate fan of the game. What's the other one up behind you? I can't quite make it out.
We have, well, let me go. Got American Pharaoh there. And then this would be, I have went blank. It's such a famous picture, and I went blank. Oh,
it's okay.
Yeah, I cannot remember.
I can filibuster for a second if it's on there, and you can look, or we can just give you a free pass on this. Yeah, go check it out.
Wrong way.
It's tough when you're watching the camera.
Charismatic. Charismatic had his incident.
Is that's Antley holding the leg? I should have.
Yes, it is.
That was a host fail. I could have helped you out.
I've got another Rachel and Zenyatta minis. I've got all the Derby. He had the Derby series where he had Kentucky Derby winners or Triple Crown winners. I'm sorry, throughout the decade. I've got several.
Very cool. Last question for you. We just need your basic stats. Where do you live? How old are you? And what do you do for a living?
I am 42. I live in Hazel, Kentucky, right south of Murray State Racers. Might be some people familiar with them. Got a trucking company. We do a lot of logistics and brokerage and stuff. And one day I hope I can get to the point where I can just piddle around and play some horses. But so far the business ain't let me do that.
We know how that goes.
Yes.
Chris, an easy guy to root for. We wish you Godspeed, not just at the final table, with the much more important things you're dealing with in life. Great energy, great guest, and let's be talking soon.
Thank you very much.
Next up, another final tableist playing for this $10,000 BCBC seat. Very pleased to be joined by Bob Montgomery. Bob, what's going on?
Not much, Pete. How are you?
Things are excellent with me. We got Breeders' Cup fever, and I imagine you do too. Have you ever played in the Breeders' Cup betting challenge before? What does it mean to you to be competing for the seed on Horseplayer Happy Hour?
I played in the BCBC at Santa Anita, and I played in one at Del Mar.
Nice.
And it's just a fantastic experience. It's something I look forward to every year.
Did you qualify in those other times that you got involved, or buy your way in?
Yeah, no, I qualified both times.
Fantastic. Playing on horseplayers.com or playing in live tournaments?
HorsePlayers. Yeah.
Very nice.
I don't play many live events. The only one would be BCBC.
Okay, that's interesting. Just because is it a lifestyle thing? We'll go right there. Actually, tell us how old you are, what you do, and where you live.
I'm 59 years old. I'm self-employed as an accountant, and I live in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Very nice. Very nice. So yeah, I imagine up there in particular. I mean, hey, hopefully we're going to get to having live contests back at Woodbine someday, but you don't have a ton of live options around you, do you?
No, we don't. I know you're a big fan of the Woodbine contest, and I remember seeing you there for one of the Woodbine Mile contests, and I certainly missed them, and I can't wait for them to come back.
Yeah, post-pandemic, now we've got a chance maybe to make a push. You know, it's those were such great events, and I was very proud of the U.S. competition we got up there, and sort of the Ryder Cup feel almost between the USA players and,
exactly.
and the Canadians, such as yourself. You know, there's a rich history of Canadian players doing well. You guys you punch over your weight class when it comes to these big contests like the BCBC and the NHC. You think should you make it there this year? You think you can maybe add to the list?
I have zero shot if I make it there, Pete.
Why do you say that?
No, it looks like one of those years with Flightline if he is a heavy favorite in the Classic, and Nest looks to be a heavy favorite, and I think the Turf, there's a heavy favorite as well, and that's just not my kind of day. I tend to look for long shots, and I just can't do what JK and some of these guys do and push all in with their bankroll. It's not points to me, it's hard-earned dollars. And
I get it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, though, and we've talked about this in some of the other interviews, there's still you're still going to be betting. So if you win your entry, it's like you're being paid to go. And if you happen to catch a heater, and even the low rungs of the money have a chance to send you to the NHC or get you, extra cash. So there's still a place for you.
Exactly. And you get to see the best jockeys and trainers and horses up front. It's a fantastic experience.
Tell us about your history with Horseplayer Happy Hour. How did you first hear about it, and how long you've been playing?
Well, my friend, I listened to most of your podcasts, so I've heard about it from you. And then my friend Steve McNatton earlier on in the summer said, hey, you're not playing many of these contests. You should get involved. They're a great opportunity. And so I thank him for the little bit of a push.
That's awesome. We encourage people to do that, and you've obviously made the most of this opportunity. How did you qualify for the final table?
I won a contest earlier on, and that gave me 2 entries. And luckily, because the first week my one entry had no luck, and then every week I've just been fortunate enough to be in the top half.
That's great. Grinding along, and now in a position to walk away with this big prize. Tell us about your history as a horse player.
I grew up on the standardbred side, so my family has owned and trained and raced standardbred horses. And in 2006, I went to Las Vegas for a thoroughbred contest, and I've been involved ever since.
Was that an NHC back there, or one of the others?
No, it was one of the Orleans contests.
Horseplayer World Series?
Yeah. So, it was just winters in Ottawa are cold, and it was a good excuse to get away from the snow and go somewhere where it's warm and have a little bit of fun at the same time.
Let's talk about your approach to picking winners. What type of stuff do you like to look at? Do you identify as a particular type of horse player?
Well, it's funny. I don't use any sort of speed figures. I
That's
rarely
different.
look at any speed figures. I follow the New York circuit primarily. So, it's been 10, 15 years now, and you kind of build up that that knowledge of certain horses. And I guess I'm a bit of a class guy whenever they're in the right class, and I always look for value. So.
Well, those are good approaches. They've worked for you on the tour. We'll be following you along on the leaderboard, and hopefully we'll get a chance to say hello in person, maybe as soon as the Breeders' Cup.
Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see you there, and thank you for all that you do for Thoroughbred Aftercare and for the contest world.
Cheers, my friend.
Take care, Pete.
We go right to Keeneland. 1-3-5-6 are the best numbers for me. Did you have a pick in here, Matt?
I did, but I don't know if I want to share now.
Why do you say? Are you winging out there in a good spot?
No. Because you don't have the horse.
Oh no. Backups with the 9 and the 11.
There we go. 9. By the way, I almost fell out of my chair when Bob said he doesn't use speed figures.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Holy cow.
From a contest perspective, especially a lot of $2 win place, like I kind of get it because the market is so tied to them. Now, I couldn't do it. Like that's the lens at which I look at things. But just like thinking about it from a contrarian perspective, and like if you want long shots, one thing you could do is like make a real conscious effort to divorce yourself from this figure that has primacy in the market. You know, I mean, I think as an everyday cash player, you'd go broke. But in mythical win place contests, I think there's a logic to it, honestly.
And to your point also, I think I'm guilty of it, looking at it, you know, kind of going by the standby of Andy Byer saying the fig is the fig. If you've got it, you've got it. But there is something to knowing the class levels and who fits where with one circuit. And it sounds like he pays mostly attention to New York. So for him to be able to understand who fits where, I think that's very valuable.
Let's see here. The rail opening like the Red Sea. Is the 3 good enough to take advantage?
Look, the 9 has every chance to win this race.
Yeah, the 9's coming too. Nice down the center.
Yeah,
let's see what happens here. My goodness, I'm happy with the 9. I'm not going to complain. You get a backup alive. Let's hope this horse does not re-rally on the inside, or is that a horse that I have too? No, that horse is okay, but it doesn't matter. That was a good pick by you, and I'm glad I threw in his backup. What was the? Give me. I apologize, we didn't get to you soon enough. But the handicapping case on the 9 was. We'll let you red board here because it's not your fault. It's my fault.
I feel. Oh, no, it's not. It's no one's fault. This is our finale. We got to make sure that we get all the people that are paying attention and helping us be able to do this year in and year out. Get them in. Lovely Princess. The idea was draw a line through that dirt race at Churchill because I just don't think she's a dirt horse. And prior to that, you more or less had. I know they're not exactly paired up by her tops, but she earned a 78 at Kentucky Downs and a 76 when she broke her maiden at Ellis Park. She ran well at Kentucky Downs, going 1 mile and 5/16. I figured she would move forward. To me, the idea of pairing up top figs moving forward into your next race, whether you use Bayer, Time Form, Thorograph, whatever it may be, that's the logic applies, assuming it's what they want to do. So for her to regress 10 points when she moved to dirt, I didn't really care about that. Throw the dirt race out. I expected this to be her forward move, and based on the way that she ran down the filly who broke her maiden last time out with a big fig at Kentucky Downs. I'm sure she ran a low 80 kind of number here, an 81 or an 82.
Oh, that was my dream horse, wasn't it? That was the horse I had the dream about. Yeah, that's so funny. I'm glad we didn't get too stuck into her personal best, who was okay. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those sometimes when you love a horse so much in a certain spot. But usually when you say last time was the time, it's because the horse was a huge long shot and they come back and are a favorite. This is like a baby version of that. I mean, she was a favorite that time, but she was just going to be overbet. I mean, one thing we talked a lot this meet on the Keeneland Daily shows about what to do with the Kentucky Downs form. And I think I'm becoming convinced that the logical thing is, you use it, you look at it, you respect it, but you don't necessarily, you can excuse it pretty easily. And the horse that takes the huge forward move there, well, maybe you want to evaluate them off a little bit less than that. And I think that's what happened here. And I didn't come up with the winner at all. Your case was good. I just, Matt Vagvolgi and I did the show and threw together some tickets here. And thankfully, he was wise enough to come up with this one, or it would be, we'd be crying in our beer or our bourbon, given where I'm standing right now at this stage. So how much time do we have to the next race in Indiana? Can we slide in a video?
No, we have 2 minutes.
Okay, great. We'll go there. And then, so we'll go there, and then we have one more at Keeneland, and then 2 more at Indiana. So
no, 1-1.
Oh, it's 1-1. So
we
we're not.
have, well, I say that we have Indy here, then we'll have one each at the 2 tracks.
Okay, perfect. We'll have plenty of time. We'll get everything in, and we'll have some time to do some other stuff. But rather than go, we should. With this 1 minute here, I didn't look at this race. I'll be honest with you. I was very focused on the 2 other tracks. You did because you did the contest. So what do you?
And also, I'm upset because I live in an area where, for stupid rules, I can't bet on this race because of who they're involved with. And it's a state thing. It has nothing more to do than that. I really like the 2, Manuelito in here. And he's 9-1. He was 3-1 when the tote opened.
Just came down to 7 in one flash there, interestingly.
So oddly enough, the reason I like this horse is because I used him in the contest I played here on Happy Hour on October 6th. And I thought it's not going to look miserable, but it wasn't a good, clean trip. Tried to rally, looked like he was ready to run, and got stuck in behind horses and was still punching on at the end of the run. So that beaten by 2, I don't think is necessarily representative of his capabilities. I get it. You want to take a look at it and kind of chop it up a million different ways and say maybe the pace doesn't work to his advantage, this, that, and the other. I just expect him to run well. Whether or not he can win, that remains to be seen. But I think he's at the very least in getting a fairly good piece of this thing, if not more, at 8, hopefully 10, 12 to 1.
All right. I like the case. And the horse bouncing around on the board hopefully lands in a good place for you.
By the way, he will absolutely win because I can't bet him. He will absolutely win.
That's good. You can use that. You can use that karma in the contest. Do you have prices enough the rest of the way that you have a chance to make a Zenyatta like close here in the contest? Do you think?
Yeah. So I mean, it's really going to boil down to what price I have on the horse in the last race, because I'm the only one with that one ahead of me. And I think the horse should be. I mean, it was 20 on the line. So even if you're in that sort of 15 range, just had that winner that'll come back, $17 somewhere thereabouts. I would be about 50 behind whoever the leader is now. I mean, again, if I got something close to a capper in that last one, yeah, I'd have a chance.
All right, let's keep the fingers crossed and see if we can get. That'd be a fun story. One of our final table people would be a fun story. So yeah, I think generally run a show here. We'll do this race. Maybe go right to an interview. AJ, you pick. Then we can come back and do leaderboards. We're not going to be able to do 2 interviews between, or do you think we'd be able to do 2 interviews between this race and Keeneland? We might be able to, but
Well, it depends on if you're really stuck into trying to get something pulled for the pod. We could always miss one of these races, but
we don't, and we don't have to do something to pull if it doesn't work out that way. Production meeting in the middle of the show. That's only if it works out. I mean, I thought it would be fun, and I'd like the idea of getting an early thought, a little more early thoughts with you that we could pull out and do audio of. But we got a lot of content, so it's not like we're hurting.
AJ saying, I mean, if those numbers are on, we're looking at like 21 minutes still of interviews.
Okay, so we can skip that. We'll just do 1, and then we'll have 2 for between the last 2 races at Horseshoe Indy. Maybe I can even go get another whiskey. Though the bar might be closed by then, unfortunately. But that's okay. There'll be some at dinner.
We're gonna have. Let's see. I'm just doing some quick mental math here as I'm looking at.
I do like that they call it the pentafecta at Horseshoe Indy. I like that little bit of originality.
A little different than the old, was that Super High Five?
Super High Five equivalent, you would think would be what we get there.
Is there getting close to the gate, Pete? And, I mean, we don't have enough time to do one of the, interviews. And even if it's, maybe we don't have time to do a full deep dive. We had kind of talked about the idea of maybe going over an early look at that pick 5 for Saturday from the Breeders' Cup. Is there any one horse that, and again, we're not holding anybody to picks at this point, but in that sequence, you figure it's the sprint, it's the mile.
Starts with the filly and mare turf. Or is that no? That's the pick 6.
Yeah,
that's the pick 6. Sprint, mile, distaff, turf, classic.
Correct. Is there any one horse in there that you see yourself aside from Flightline?
I was going to
saying, look, this is going to be the press. Maybe you're going to use backups, but is there one out of those other races that you're looking at saying, most of our hopes and dreams are either going to sink or swim here?
I think there are value presses along the way, and that's the way I might do it, as opposed to like single horse can't lose kind of situations. The 7th, my early thought are that the favorites look very tough. Need to take more of a look and see if I can come up with anything clever there. The mile, I might play some long shots. As much as and there'll be plenty going through modern games, but I actually made a bet today. There was some 33-1 around internationally on Smooth Like Straight. Thought that was just too big. That's a horse I could see using, and I'm warming to the case of Annapolis too on the domestic end. I respect the foreign horses, but I expect to have some stuff running through those two. My early inclination in the distaff is to maybe try to get a little cute and get Clairiere in there. A horse who looked like the favorite for this. It's one of those things where just like, I think people, the hate might be going too far off one bad race. This is a horse who everybody would have said was better than Malafat before the last run. And I'm seeing double digits internationally. That just sounds crazy to me. So that's a way to go in there. The turf, I'm nowhere with yet. And then, the classic, I think you can get, look, there's so much value in trying to beat Flightline with some of your ticket if you can be creative enough to come up with a case. But I might just be master of the obvious there and nail him. How's our horse looking in here? Maybe not in the easiest spot back there.
No, but this is where this horse runs from, and whether or not he's going to kick on, we'll find out. But it's just a matter of, very much like last time, you got to find a seam.
Horse has run.
This is what he did last time.
Yeah, he's throwing it through. He just really had to tap the brakes.
He's still in with a chance. You just got to find a place to go.
Yeah, where is that going to be? This
follow the orange hat.
There's the split.
Change leads.
Are we good enough? It might be tricky. Sticking on.
Yeah, the problem is this must just be this horse.
Yeah,
because it looks really good, and and then all of a sudden, when the real running begins, I feel like it's always difficult to quicken on dirt through one of those kind of holes, as opposed to turf where you've got that
very one-paced. A very good horse to be a price though, probably, and continue to run third and fourth. The old, it's not the classic dinker that Mike Maloney, who lives not too far from where I stand right now, talked about in betting with an edge, but a useful horse that has some ability that will probably get the right trip and pop at some point, but certainly is useful as a vertical underneath horse.
If you own him,
lots of checks.
He's got to be a blast to bring to the track, right?
Yeah, lots of checks there for our man Manuelito. We have some good comments too that we can get to. Though we do have time for one video now. I think we decided,
let's pump one in.
Yeah, let's do a video. AJ Dealer's Choice. Give us one of our 3 remaining final table contestants right now.
The first of our final table participants that I get to speak with today, a man I've had the pleasure of hanging out with many times at racetracks, breweries, distilleries, all the good places. Basically, longtime correspondent as well, and I love this. He always signs off your loyal listener. He is Ernie Hay Jr. Ernie, what's going on, my man?
Good morning, Pete. How are you? It's great to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, and good to see you at the final table. Let me ask you the basic questions first. Sure. Let us know where you live, how old you are, and what you do for a living.
Okay, so I live in Lancaster, New York, which is outside of Buffalo, and I'm 59. I turned 59 in the summer, and this is my last week of work. I am going on vacation starting the 31st of October all the way to December 2nd, and then I will be retired December 3rd.
Amazing! What timing?
Yeah, 30 years with the sheriff's office, Erie County Sheriff's Office, and I got when I got hired, I wanted to do my 30 years. I got my 30 years, and I'm going to be retiring.
Oh well, congratulations!
Yeah,
that's an awesome achievement. Now, you say you're in Western New York. We can see the background there. I was wondering if that was sunshine, but is that snow out your back window?
No, it's not snowing. In fact, we had a beautiful weekend. We had a bunch of rain last week, and then the weekend was great. It was in the 70s. It's supposed to be nice. In fact, I'm going to try to sneak out and play golf tomorrow afternoon. So it's going to be nice for the next couple of days. So no, unfortunately, I don't have a nice backdrop for you. So that's a parking ramp actually behind you. And dirty county windows. So
that's very funny. Well, how about this vacation you're going on? Will a trip to Lexington for the Breeders' Cup be part of it?
Yes, that was already planned because I saw you at the Monmouth tournament. I ended up finishing second, so I got my BCBC seat, and it's been a grind trying to get a second one. I like playing in your contest because I like to support the thoroughbred retirement in that. So I was lucky enough to finish second in the very first contest, and then I was a grind trying to get the points. And even in the last contest, I tried to play both my tickets with the same, and then Mike blocked me anyway with the same horses, so I wouldn't have been able to finish the 100 points, 90 to get the top points, but it was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Have you played in the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge before?
This is my 6th time. So
Okay.
I've won entries. One time I got a partial entry. But yeah, so this is my 6th time. I started Del Mar. So that was my first actually winning a seat. And since then, I've won a seat. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. A couple of times I played on the computer, but I've been to Del Mar, Santa Anita, Churchill Downs. Obviously, Keeneland, we had to play online. So we're looking forward to going to Keeneland.
As a proper veteran of the BCBC, what advice do you have for players who might be playing in it for the first time?
The best advice that I can say is lean strongly on your opinions, and don't be afraid to go all in. If you really want to win the contest, like the winner last year and JK, they go all in and they press it and on their strong opinions.
That's great.
In all the contests that I've played, I've hit one of the opinions, and then I'm sitting on a big score, and it's third, fourth, or dead last. So, and I've learned over the years, just like the NHC. The first time you go, and it's like your eyes are like, wow, right? And then, but that's the best thing I could say to anybody is if you really want to win the tournament, you need to at some point press your best opinions.
What's your best finish so far in the BCBC? How's your experience been in the tournament? I mean, you obviously had a good time if you're trying to qualify every year, but give us some of the specifics.
Yeah. So the first year, it was just I had some strong opinions, but I couldn't put anything together. I got beat by the gold horse in the sprint. I love the horse. I finished second. And then I love Good Magic, but I did not like, I think it was Arrogate and Chrome.
Gunrunner won that class.
And then there was Gunrunner. Yeah. So I've always sort of been sniffing around. My best finish though, because like I said, I pushed all in. At Keeneland, at the end, I didn't have a strong opinion. So I finished with like 10 grand, 11 grand. And because I didn't have a strong opinion. So and like I said, I'll tell everybody, if you got to push all in, but because that was the year I won the partial. So I said, you know what? So like I said, that was my best money finish was I had like 11 some thousand.
When you qualify, it changes the dynamic a little bit, I think, because there is, if you don't have that strong opinion at the end, the temptation to say, you know what, I go home with 10, that's like winning 10. Or if you qualified for, if you got a partial, it's like winning 5. It's still a great result. You get to play the Breeders' Cup all day, and you do it within the confines of the context. And hey, if you get lucky, you can finish significantly better than that. But I think you have to, there's no one size fits all with this stuff. You've got to tailor your approach to what your opinions are, what your goals are. Sounds like to me you have a very good attitude when it comes to doing that, and you're somebody who hopefully the races this year line up right, and you'll be willing to take that all-in stab. From this far out, do you have a particular opinion, horse in specifically, or a Breeders' Cup race you're really looking forward to betting?
I have a horse in the Filly and Mare Sprint that I kind of like, that likes the track. And I'm hoping for a good showing. And if I could press my opinion, get the right price, Carmel Swirl is the name of the horse, right? And I'm still trying to figure out a way to beat Golden Pale, but I don't think even what is it, Highland, the horse that's coming? Yes. After that showing at Keeneland, the last race, that horse is something. And it would be nice to see a horse win another Breeders' Cup, right? Would be the third Breeders' Cup. So that I'm looking forward to seeing that race. And there's a horse I'm looking at in the Classic that no one else is going to probably want to look at. But I have a feeling because I like the veteran jockey, and I will say it's going to be a Pletcher horse, but I'm not going to say which one.
You've narrowed it down for us. Nobody hotter than Todd Pletcher right now, so it's going to be hard to argue too much with you. Yeah, Caramel Swirl, very live, long shot possibility if she turns up, and it sounds like she's going to. And Golden Pal, certainly just different sauce when it comes to running in Kentucky, it seems, than anywhere else. Well, Ernie, we'll be watching. You know, I'm not playing favorites here. I want everybody to do well at the final table, but you get extra credit for being a loyal listener, and you get extra credit for coming on the show here today. We'll be talking soon, my friend.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have a lot of fun.
Next up on the show, very excited to bring in our next final table guest. He is Rob Capalbo. How are you, my friend?
Good, Pete. How are you today?
I'm great. Now, we've had the pleasure of hanging out at the racetrack on a number of occasions, also over at our Brentwood shows. But We'll start you with the obvious questions. For those that don't know, how old are you? Where are you from? And what do you do for a living?
Sure. I'm Rob. I'm from 49. I'm from Western Massachusetts. I work in the television industry, actually. Direct newscast for a local NBC affiliate.
Fantastic.
So, I've been doing it for a long time. It's fun. I direct evenings, so I've been doing that since 2003, I think. Yeah, and it's great, and enjoy the work. Enjoy the work.
That must make it being a little bit easier to follow racing day in, day out with the working nights. Does it work well with your schedule?
Yeah, it's not bad, and I have some good downtime, and I can keep an eye on kind of what's going on. I do have to admit I'm more of a weekend warrior or a summer guy. Being up in Western Mass, it's easy to get to Saratoga, which we like to do often in the summer, and I like watching the New York circuit a lot. So it's kind of
the problem with your part of the world is there's no good beer to drink.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, we have some great beer. I mean, I can push to the Massachusetts beers. We got some really great breweries, but if you head up 91 right up into Vermont, it's hard to find a bad brewery up that way. I've been on some really good brewery tours, big time beer drinker, me and my friends, and I'll go down to Pennsylvania sometimes too. There's some good places we like to go down there. But hey, it's all about the brew, isn't it?
Now, here's the thing with Horseplayer Happy Hour. Obviously, it lends itself to drinking. Typically, I have a pint in hand. With working nights, do you get to partake, or do you have to sort of separate the two things?
Yeah, not really. Unfortunately, going in at 3:00, I end up sort of not being able to drink during the Horseplayer Happy Hour. I'd have to take a day off to do it. But hey, you know what? Maybe next summer I will. Now that I enjoyed playing thoroughly this year. Like I didn't expect. I shouldn't say I didn't expect to do well. I have over the last few years. I felt like my handicapping ability has been much better, and so I was surprised to be where I was, but maybe not. Maybe I know what I'm doing.
It's shown in the results. The improvement is shown in the results. How did you first become aware of Horseplayer Happy Hour, and did you take any different of approach this year?
Sure. No. I heard of it last year when you guys started would you start in 2020 during the pandemic?
You actually started the year before, but it was organized as a proper interconnected series of contests in 21. We did a bunch of shows in 20. I'd hesitate to go back and watch the archives of
oh my gosh.
Getting to watch myself during the mental breakdown of the spring of 2020. But yeah, this was the second year where we did it like in a professional way.
Sure. Yeah. I think that was the year that when that started, I think that was the year that I started really trying to figure out like how to handicap properly, because we were all locked in the house, and I was like, horse racing was on. I'd already become a pretty good fan and casual, but I'm like, well, how do I do this better? I had a great system going, at least so I thought, with a bazillion different, ways of figuring things out. But then I was like, how do I make this better? I did some reading. I grabbed the book, the Betting with an Edge book, Mike Maloney's books. Fantastic. Great way to look at things. So I heard about the happy hour you know, by more often watching, you know, the Into Money shows, your shows with whoever guests you might have on, and then you guys started talking about it. I was like, well, this seems fun. I said, let me give it a shot. Plus, it was you know, the TRF donation was fantastic because I had met Kim from the TRF, Kim Weir, last summer at an event, and what a nice person and what a great cause. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's throw $20. What's the difference? And I'm like, well, this could be fun if I get to the end. Who knows, right? And just kind of took off from there. And let's see, June 23rd, I had finished second. That was a whole journey all in itself. And then I was like, well, great, I'm in the playoffs. Let's see what happens. And then, hey, it's been great ever since. I've been just kind of on a little roll, getting in there. So
that's great. That's a terrific story to hear. It's interesting to hear how the pandemic factors in. Very flattered that we factor in as well. I'm going to guess that you haven't played in an event as big as the BCBC before. This would be significant for you.
No, it would be significant for me, and I was psyched. You know, I was telling people working, they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "No, seriously, this could be really cool." Like, I almost wouldn't know what to do, but I think I'd figure it out. You know, and that's one thing I would be confident in myself at least. You know, I figured if I can get there, I obviously belong there. Like, why not? You know, why not me? You know, I mean, maybe I'm a little more of a dark horse in here, but that's all right. No pun intended. You know.
Well, should you punch your ticket today, there'll be plenty of conversations. Happy to be a resource for you or whoever ends up taking this down today. I love the idea of you being there. So happy you've played. Do you have a particular beer you go to as a victory punt? Let's say you get the job done, you get home from work. What will you be cracking?
Well, one of my favorite is called Juice Machine from Treehouse. Treehouse is a very popular brewery up here, and people
legendary New England IPA.
Yeah, it's super juicy. You know, obviously the winter months now, though, it's you know, you're heading for the stout season too. But yeah, my go-to has always been the Juice Machine from Treehouse. That is definitely my that puts me in a happy place.
I have the pleasure of having that within my route when we drive from Brooklyn up to Maine. It's almost like a perfect halfway. Stop off at Treehouse and load up. I haven't had the Juice Machine before, but I'll make sure to do that. Rob, we'll be following you with great interest, and we'll be talking again very soon.
Hey, thanks so much. It was a pleasure talking, and hey, who knows? Maybe I'll be able to make it through.
Godspeed, my friend.
Thanks, buddy.
Let's take a look at that leaderboard and see how Rob and everybody else is doing, AJ, when you have a second. And then, Matt, I'll throw back at you the same question that you threw at me in terms of, is there a horse other than Flightline in that Saturday pick six that you're looking forward to either building significant plays around or perhaps even really narrowing down and going through completely? But let's do the leaderboards first, AJ, if you have them at the ready. And we'll start with the final table, if that's what you pulled up. Chris Couples is there, and he's looking pretty good. In this spot here, we've got two races left, and he's got the 6 and the 1. He's got a little bit of a lead there. 4160 Nathan hanging tough. Michael Domable, the next player that we'll hear from there. But there's still, without knowing, if I was really studied up, I'd be able to tell you from here who's drawing live. If somebody wants to do a little math and pop it in the comments and let us know. But yeah, an easy crew to root for. Second year in a row. A really nice mix of players we have in the final table here, Matt.
I mean, truth be told, you know, you can even go, I would say the top 9, really. I mean, and not to say that Michael doesn't have a chance here, but, you know, the 5 is 8-1 right now. That's actually the horse that I like in this spot too. First timer for Mac Robertson. But, you know, Chris has the 6 at 3-1. Nathan's got the deuce at 6-1. The 10 is the favorite, but Michael Domable is not far enough behind, or not so far behind, I should say, that, you know, that 5-2 couldn't potentially be very useful going into that last race. The same goes for Robert Henderson and Robert Capalbo, we just heard from. They're only $2 behind Michael Domable. So they're all kind of in that same ballpark. Scott McGovern's got the 6, 3-1. He probably needs a little bit of help here just because he's blocked out by Chris. But I mean, I think for the most part, everybody's kind of drawing live still.
I saw this race at Keeneland as 10 and 5. And I'll just use rough numbers. I think about didn't the dream scenarios of a score kind of went out the window, getting just the backup in there. But it's about 8 times the initial investment to the 10, and maybe like 3 times the initial investment to the 5. And that reflects my opinion. So I feel pretty good about those 2 runners. And sounded like you were with me on the 5 here.
Yeah, I just thought this was an interesting one. You have a number of horses taking precipitous drops in class. And that to me is always a red flag, especially from big barns. Conversely, when you've got someone like McLean Robertson, who this horse was stabled at Delaware, and then all of a sudden for the last 2 works, they went to Keeneland. First Dude maybe is not the first sire you think of with, firsters out of the box that can run, but 12% with 2-year-old firsters, that's nothing to sneeze at. And I like the fact that this horse is steadily taking money. It's not like this one opened up at 20-1 and is taking some late nibbles. This one was in that sort of 7-8-1 range from the minute the tote opened. So, who knows? We'll see. I think this one will need to be forward. This level more so than any other level, in my opinion. Speed is always important on dirt. But boy, the bottom level maiden claimers, I think it's the end all be all, because I don't think any of these horses want to pass the horses. So if you can break and get either on or near the early lead, be within a length or 2, I think really that's where the races are won and lost.
I agree completely with that point about giving that extra credit at this level to a horse dropping who's got speed. One of the things that pointed me in the direction of this 10 runner, who 3 of our final table players landed on. Let's put up the video so I don't blow the start of that, AJ, and then we'll throw Matt the question we were talking about before in terms of those pick 5 races on Saturday. Do you have anything strong yet? Obviously, we'll have time next week to hold your feet to the fire, etc. But I mean, from this far out, what do you think?
Well, so for me, it even starts before that pick 5, because as Ernest Hay Jr. had brought up, his sort of fun horse is the horse I brought up last week, Caramel Swirl, and you brought it and you asked, you go, I'm not seeing her name anywhere. You sure she's in? And I said, look, the stuff I've got says she's in. And sure enough, she is not in. So one of my big plays is no longer. So I'm, scrambling around last night looking at stuff, and it was already going to be a big opinion of mine. But it's even more so now. The sprint, I think, is relatively straightforward. I don't think there's too much crazy that could happen there, at least by my estimation. I like the way that JK has put it. It's one of the jacks. But to be honest, I do like American Theorem. I think he could possibly split those 2. And I'll use him defensively. I don't want to say defensively. I'll probably use him in the pick 5 as well. But the play is in the mile. And I don't know if he's – I mean, you tell me. You've talked to more people lately than I have. I don't know if he's sliding under the radar, but you brought his name up. And to me, I'm going to stand on him, even more so than Modern Games. I believe in Annapolis. I think he is. I sound like a broken record. He has the traits anyway. I'm not saying he's going to be Wise Dan. I'm not saying he's going to be Tepin. He has the traits to pull that trip. Yeah. And I think, I hate to say this, and this is going to probably put Smooth Like Straight right in the winner's circle. They have the same running style, but I have more faith in the way that this horse is going as a 3-year-old developing than Smooth Like Straight, who has been here a time or 2. And more often than not, he just can't quite get there. And by the way, we totally blew the break. So
yeah,
not trouble now.
Not good there.
Annapolis. Now it's a matter of how do I play it? But he is quickly becoming, I think, my big play of Saturday.
He's interesting. I think he's interesting. I think for underneath, Ivar, the other American, is interesting. And then, it's just a question of how we put it together. I mean, the play on Smooth Like Straight, 33-1 just seemed absurd to me. I mean, that's a horse it's an 8 or 10-1 shot, I think. And a horse that also happens to look very strong on Time Form US. Now, this 6 runner took a lot of money and is in a better spot than my 10. But I'm hoping we can tackle here on the turn and go on with it and have this turn into a profitable day instead of kind of a disappointing day. The rubber is about to meet the road here. Come on, level off and finish your race. The six is finding. I think I might be in a little bit of trouble here, but we'll see if we can. Yeah, we're not going to get a miracle. That's frustrating. It's going to come 6-10. Is that the 9 coming on late?
9 is third right now. We'll see if he can hang on.
Yeah, 6-10-9. Oh, well.
The 5 nearly got up for fourth after being 100 out of it.
Yeah, that's a horse I think you can bet again. Anytime you see them, they can catch a little bit of money on debut and they don't break. And as you mentioned on breeding, a horse you probably think would do better next time. He's going to have to break better. It's going to be very hard to win with a habitual bad breaker at that level. You could be waiting a very, very long time. You could have a lot of seconds and thirds and fourths. But that's a horse I would give another chance to. And yeah, the 10 just not good enough. The money told on the 6, and they get the money in the last race at Keeneland. Disappointment for me. Who had that one that horse was represented on the final table? Yes.
Yeah. So Chris right on top has the 6. So
very nice.
He and Scott McGovern kind of move, in tandem. Scott will probably wind up in second now. And he is live. So it's good and bad for a lot of these folks. Chris, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, he's the only one with the 1 in the finale. So he's not blocking anyone, but he's got a horse that, you hit the board or you run top 2, you're probably going to be okay or somewhere thereabouts. Beyond that, Scott has the 4. So let me take a look at the odds. The 1 who Chris has is 4.5 to 1. The 4 who Scott has is 5 to 1. Then Nathan and Michael Domable both have the 9, who is your 7 to 5 favorite. So they're in trouble. Robert Henderson has the 8, who is 9 to 1. So Robert Henderson's not totally done. And because he had the 10, who's going to pick up some place money.
Yeah, the place points might.
Robert, it's going to be very, very close if he ends up winning with that one. Robert has the 7, who is 10 to 1, same kind of deal. And then Bob Montgomery has I would say still a very live chance with the 3, who's currently 19 to 1.
Getting up in that cap horse territory.
Yes.
Should mention also, we've been working all year with our partners over at HorsePlayers.com, and I think there's still going to be some chances this weekend. So I'm getting into proper last chance Breeders' Cup betting challenge.
Pete, I think they're going to run right through next week. I could be wrong.
Okay, they're going to run actual qualifiers during the week.
I want to say last year they had one right up until it might have even been Thursday.
I guess it makes sense because when you can play online, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you need to make travel arrangements. So yeah, your chances are still there. Horseplayers.com, the place to go. Hopefully we'll be working with them again next year. How many minutes do we have till our final race of the contest, Matt?
It says 1 minute, but they are still kind of, taking their time. I don't know if we have enough time for a video.
It's tough because I do want to watch that race. Let's try it. Let's try it because it makes so much more sense to have Michael talk before this race goes off. AJ, throw Michael in there right now, please, and let's hope for the best.
Our 9th final table contestant comes to us. He should be familiar to folks who read InTheMoneyPodcast.com regularly because he's absolutely been crushing it with his analysis over at Keeneland. I bring you Michael Domable. Michael, how are things?
Things are good, Pete. Excited to try to notch the second BCBC seat, courtesy of this Horseplayer Happy Hour format, which I've been a huge fan of. So let's see how it goes.
You are the man who has the pinned tweet about the 7 reasons why you should be playing it, and you're a living example for sure. Last year, you made a big, deep run as far as the tour itself goes. This year, you're knocking on the door once again. How are you feeling? You feeling confident about your chances here at this final table?
Yeah, I would feel more confident if we would just keep the format of the 1 and 2s all the way until the end, because 1 and 10 is going to be a little bit more difficult than it has been advancing in the first 3 rounds of the playoff. But I know that would go past this Breeders' Cup and into probably 2023 if we did that. So I guess we'll have to live with it and try to hit with the lower ratio this time.
We were just talking off air about an idea I have for some contest content post Horseplayer Happy Hour. Maybe we can use something with cut lines to try to get us there if we find a contest site partner. I do, and we'll announce it here, and it's not official yet, but I do want to revive the World Horseplayer Tour final table format. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, on our YouTube channel, you can find the World Horseplayer Tour pilot that we did. We got derailed by many things, not least of which was the global pandemic. But I still think that's a fun way to create some contest visual content. And I want to start off cherry picking who we're going to put at our final table, but eventually we got to open this up to the world. And I do think there's something neat about the 50% cut line. How does your approach change now here at the final table, where it's not 1 in 2 who are moving forward, but 1 in 10?
Yeah, I think the first few rounds, it was pretty straightforward. The number that you're trying to get to is, maybe about your bankroll, maybe about 1.5 times your bankroll. So here, I think the winner will probably be, I don't know, maybe 3 to 4 times your bankroll in the 1 in 10 format. So you can't go through and pick all the most likely winners in every race. You got to kind of stab at a couple who you think will be, $18, $20 horses that can get you to the top. And then you also got to kind of hope and pray that I'm not one who's able to find those cappers on a regular basis. And you got to hope that one doesn't come through and someone has it and bolts to the top, and then you're kind of blocked out. But I think you just set the target bankroll a little bit higher in this contest than I have been in the first 3 rounds.
Makes complete sense to me. This Keeneland meet, you've been doing a great job. I assume it's been reflected in your bankroll as well.
Yeah, I think those turf pick 3s have been my primary plays. I kind of handicap around those, and then if I really like that sequence, then I'll look at the other 2 normally in the late pick 5 and play that as well. But had a couple hits gave them out on the blog. They hit for over 4 figures, so that was nice to do, and we'll keep at it. I think we've got 2 more opportunities before the meet closes to pad the Breeders' Cup bankroll.
We love that idea. I'll ask you some more basic questions for folks that aren't as familiar with you. You're definitely on the younger side of the audience. Let folks know how old you are, where you live, and what you do for a living.
Yeah, I'm 28 years old. I live in Richmond, Virginia, and I'm a data analyst for a consumer packaged goods company. So I look at marketplace data and analyze that, and that kind of blends over into this hobby of mine of analyzing past performance data and trying to pick winners on the racetrack.
What are your preferred sources of data when it comes to horse racing?
I primarily use the Daily Racing Form and Formulator, but then I supplement it with Timeform US. Kind of use those 2 in conjunction to kind of paint a picture of who's most likely on figures and forms, and then watching a ton of replays, digging into the stats, trying to paint the picture of what scenarios could play out in any given race is kind of my approach. It's similar to a lot of the people on the In the Money Media airwaves, I would say, and it's been fruitful at times, I think.
No doubt about it. How about your origin story of getting into racing? How did that come about?
Well, it's I grew up in upstate New York for the first few years of my life, and my dad would take our family on an annual pilgrimage to a racetrack named Saratoga. You might have heard of it. And so I think I really think that like anyone's first experience with horse racing is going to be instrumental in shaping how they view the sport. And when you take someone to Saratoga or Keeneland or Santa Anita, the vibes are just so positive in those places, and you kind of get attached to it. So my dad caught the bug when he was in his 20s, and then he gave it to me even earlier than that. And I've been going to Saratoga with him every year of my life, absent the pandemic year, which has been like an awesome tradition for us to do. And then once he taught me how to read a racing form, that was when it was all over. So at first I was like, how I've been looking at jockey and name this whole time. Then there's this whole slew of data that you hadn't shown me yet. But that was like annoying 10-year-old me. So now that I've got that, I'm set. You get the pageantry of the racing, and then you've got the data side and the puzzle that we all love.
Great stuff. We'll have you back on soon for a much longer visit, Michael, but just wanted to reintroduce you to the wider audience. Good luck out there, and we'll be talking soon.
Thanks, Pete.
Look at this finish. This is crazy. Four, right? Oh my God. That was nuts. I thought the long shot on the outside who was galloping out best. Is there any way it wasn't the 4?
I think it was 4 in between. I don't know if that'll be enough for Scott McGovern to get up. The 3 would have been enough for Bob Montgomery.
Unbelievable result here. And then the 9, well, let's see.
The 9 was chalk. The 9 wouldn't have made a difference.
Well, I was just thinking for like, that weird thing where the place points.
Boy, that's close.
The place points on the 9 could be. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see here in a minute. I'm glad we got all those interviews in. I would have just preferred to see. Ooh, yeah, 493.
Yeah, and even the 9 with place. I mean, Nathan was the highest with the 9 at that point, and he was $21 behind.
Oh, I see. So it does look like the 3. They're saying the 3 is second, which is different than what I saw. But well, I think we're going to trust them, and we'll see what this comes back. But
so the real crux of this thing is now. So you figure Scott McGovern and Bob Montgomery. Bob had the 3. Scott had the 4. Scott was about, call it $20 behind, $19 behind out of the lead. He had the 4 at 3-1. You're looking at what, roughly about $8.
Yeah. So
the question is, how much are you going to get for place?
It's going to be good I mean, it's a huge difference with that 9 out instead of in, right?
Does he get
24?
I don't think he gets enough
total. How far back is he?
I mean, right now he's 19 back.
I mean,
he would need like $11 to place.
Well, we'll see. We'll see here when they ring it up. But I mean, it's going to be $11 to place is not. It's not crazy. It depends also. Like, did they jump on this 9 in the place pool, or is the 4? Sometimes the 3-1 and 8-5 can be similar in the place pool, and sometimes there's a wild difference. But we're going to have an unlucky loser here, and we're going to have a very happy winner. That much I can guarantee you.
So
excited.
the 3, man, maybe the 3. Am I looking at this right? The 3 only had 650 of 19,000 in the place pool. I mean, it might not. It's official now.
Unloved. We're about to see it here. We're going to have the leaderboard in a second.
No, he did not.
He did not. It's not enough?
No, he only got $5 to place.
Really?
Yeah.
How's that possible? The
3 got $20.80.
Okay. There you go. And all right, well, here it is. We're going to have it. We're going to bring up both of these leaderboards and give our winners 2 BCBC seats on offer here in our what's our season finale, though we may put a little coda on it next week just for a little bit of fun with that Q&A idea. And I'll save some of these questions and comments. We had some good ones that unfortunately we weren't able to get to, just timing wise. As you can see, there's just so much to get to, and I like this format a lot of getting to meet the final table people. Ed Sinowicki, we weren't able to get. Sounded like he had some stuff going on. I tried even to do some email interviewing. I didn't get anything. I'm sure he has other stuff going on and a reason why, and hopefully he'll be competing next year, and maybe we can bring him in to get his day. I think it's fun to get to meet the people who make these games so special. And I do thank everybody in the comments. I apologize we weren't able to get to more of those questions, because definitely some interesting stuff. These leaderboards got to be ready. Yes, AJ?
They are official.
Everybody's leaving here. So Chris Couples, 5280, will be going to the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. That's great. I mean, there's a lot of great stories at our final table. None more moving than Chris. This is a significant hit for a guy whose horse playing has been way down, and that's a great result. Nobody is going to begrudge him getting there. And yeah, it wasn't that close in the end. Scott McGovern, I mean, it was not close, but you know what I mean. The price, not enough to get him to Chris's total, even with the big bomb in second. But we'll thank everybody at that final table one more time. Give him one more shout out to Chris Couples, Scott McGovern, Bob Montgomery, Nathan Kaczynski, Ed Sinowicki, Michael Domable, Robert Henderson, Rob Capalbo, Mike Cavana, and Ernie Hay Jr. Really appreciate their participation, not just today, of course, but all year long on Horseplayer Happy Hour. And now let's see who our second BCBC seat winner is. Boy, that was a crazy stretch. Look at that. Wendy Long gets up there with a very impressive total, 126.66 for her. She'll be thrilled at that. Had the pleasure of meeting her at several contests along the way. Significant breakage for Ilan Cuellar, and then some breakage for Michael Goodrich, Bob Gianquini, who was up there. Basil DeVito, I'm imagining that's still maybe down to fifth, a money spot as well today. We thank everybody for participating. We thank everybody for watching. Our producers this year, Craig and AJ, both did a fantastic job. AJ in particular, we had him running around like a nut, and I know he's got other things to do, so we really appreciate that. Matt, I reserve my biggest thanks. As much as I like to say thanks most of all to listeners, I do mean that. But thanks most of all to you. I mean, you've really been a driving force behind this. And, we've been doing these shows together since 2014. And I love this evolution of it. And I've had so much fun on these Thursdays hanging out with you and look forward to seeing you in person at the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, all the same, man. I can echo all the same things for you as well. And it's been a hell of a ride from the very beginning to where things are now and all the ups and downs in between. But I like where we're at, and I think it's a very good setup and a good situation. And hopefully, again, our friends at the Breeders' Cup, TAA, TRF, HorsePlayers.com, the Daily Racing Form, hopefully even going into next year. And really, again, the players, because without the players that support this week in and week out, there are no legs to this thing. We can't get this off the ground. So by default, without the players, none of this happens. It's the same with horse racing. Without the players, none of it happens. I'm just glad that we at least have an opportunity to reward both of the most important people in the industry, I would say, or individuals, entities, the horses and the players. And I think we do a pretty decent job of that from beginning of June right through the weekend of the Breeders' Cup.
We do a lot of cool stuff, but this is one of the things I'm the most excited about. Looking forward to seeing how it continues to develop. For you and me, it really started at the Racing Forum. Glad to have them back in the fold. Remind folks one more time about the DRF Breeders' Cup package. Go to drf.com. Check that out. Indispensable stuff over there. And that's it. That's going to do it. I do want to give one more special shout out to our friends at the Breeders' Cup, because without them recognizing and supporting us, we'd be doing this, but it wouldn't be getting out to as many people. It wouldn't be raising as much money for our TRF and TAA and those horses involved. So I did name check Haley Amos and Justin McDonald over there as well, just for all the good stuff that they do for us and for horse players. Let's leave it there, Matt. That's going to do it. This show's been a production of the Breeders' Cup and In the Money Media. On the In the Money Media side, our business, not even drinking, the business managers, Drew Coatney, Chief Creative Officers, Jonathan Kitchen. I'm Peter Thomas Fornital from a nearly empty Keeneland racecourse. May you win all your photos.